Weird story. Protests in Dearborn. Anti-Islam activists clash with Muslim residents. Well, my understanding is they're Christians that are clashing, and we have this video from Nick Shirley. I think this is the right video, right? This is he says, happening now. Christian and Islamic protesters are clashing in Dearborn. Qurans have been hit with bacon, and burning attempts of the Quran have happened. This could get ugly.
Speaking of piggy.
Right now here in Dearborn, Michigan, you have a group of Christian protesters who have came out here to Dearborn, as it is the #1 city for Islam here in the United States, as it is one of the only towns here in the United States where the majority of the population belong to the religion of Islam. Some people have been attacked. One man attempted to burn the Quran as he beat the Quran with bacon. The police have now shown up. Counter-protesters are over here. You have Palestinian protesters, Islamic protesters, and it has gotten wild here. People have been pepper sprayed. Camp Higbee was pepper sprayed, and you're also seeing street takeovers as well, as people have blocked off all of the road, and now traffic is coming through. And yes sir, I got you. And right now you have a bunch of people, and it's only about 3:30 right now. It could get wild here in Dearborn, Michigan. We'll see what happens.
Who would have thought that the Crusades
Right
in 2025 were going to be in the United States taking back Dearborn, Michigan?
Yeah, at 3
You
p.m. on
know
a
what this reminds me of? I want to show off this Far Side comic to the Davos group and the World Economic Forum so they can understand Dearborn, Michigan. It's a comic from the Far Side where there's two aliens, and one says, "Zorek, you idiot, you've mixed incompatible species in the Earth terrarium," and it's an Earth terrarium with a grizzly bear eating a hunter. And my point is, when I see Christians and Muslims fighting each other in Dearborn, this multicultural democracy idea they have, where they're like, multiculturalism is great, until you put two religions next to each other that oppose each other and they start fighting, and we don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
We are not, you're not going to have an ideology that doesn't like the other ideology stand next to each other, smile, and work together. And that's the problem of polarization in this country. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor. It is Beam Dream. Head over to shopbeam.com, my friends, /Timpool, and pick up your Beam Dream, your nighttime sleep blend. Helps you sleep better. I drink this stuff every night. I swear by it. It is delicious. It's got melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine. It is fantastic. And right now, you will get their early Black Friday sale, 50% off. I really do think it's fantastic, and this is legit. I do drink it every single night. My sleep improved. I didn't even know it could improve, and now for the past several months, I've been having consistently good sleep, and you guys know that I recently had a baby, so that's pretty impressive. Good stuff, Beam Dream. Is because the more entrenched the ideology gets, the more likely you're going to get towards, the higher the chance of getting towards violence. Well, what they've done in this country is they've created enclaves of various groups, like Somalis in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and now Muslims in Dearborn. And in these surrounding areas, you're going to have American Christians, and you're going to have a growing influence of Islam, and there's going to be a clash of ideas. Because there's going to be people in the American traditionalist side being like, hey, what you're doing to those little girls is not good. Not saying like literally every Muslim's going to do that, but there's practices in Islam that Americans will not tolerate or even illegal that are happening there in Dearborn. This idea of mixing all these cultures in terms of like putting them next to each other does not work. You will get people to fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the Democrats, you expect them to support this, obviously, because they subscribe to the blank slate theory, these sorts of things. But even the Republicans are completely to blame for this, because for the longest time, the dialogue, even Republicans were endorsing mass migration. They're like, well, we'll just give them like a pocketbook constitution, and they'll become as American as anybody else. And this is every single time you see a story like this, where you've imported some sort of old world conflict into America, it's just a reminder that, like, no, there actually is something intrinsic to being an American. It's a little bit deeper than just like general vague subscription to like liberty and freedom. It's like, yeah, most people are like on board with that. There's a little more to it. We got to dig a little more. That's why the last question Charlie Kirk really posed to the movement is, what is an American? Because as our borders have been open for so long, they're going to see more and more of this, and that question is going to cry out for an answer more and more and more.
Yeah. Totally. And I think there's a huge problem in America with assimilation right now. Like, what are people assimilating to?
Right.
It's that question of what does it mean to be an American actually provides an answer that like they're not assimilating to our traditions and our foundations.
I just watched a podcast with Nick Freitas and Aaron McIntyre, and Aaron had a great thought about this. The idea that you can just come to the United States and like we have magic dirt, you're going to automatically become, you know, a Jeffersonian, you know, democracy lover. This was, and I've said this before, this was solidly, this idea was solidly proven wrong when the United States invaded Iraq. Right.
You threw dirt on people and nothing happened.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't, you know, you brought them democracy, and what did you get? Not a Jeffersonian democracy.
I just need to pause right there and say, we tried that with Liberia a long time ago.
We did. This is
so
true.
This idea has been known for a long time.
The Liberian Constitution almost completely is a mirror image of ours. It's almost the exact same thing, and it didn't turn into the United States.
Oh yeah.
So
that doesn't make sense. How's that possible?
Well, you know, it takes a certain kind of people that are looking for the type of government that we have, and it's like you've said before, the Constitution. It doesn't make people love the Constitution. Right? If your Constitution is in the people and they believe in the Constitution, if you have a population that doesn't believe in things like property rights, no written Constitution is ever going to make them believe in property rights.
I mean, it doesn't work because America's not an idea. It's a nation. It's a people with a shared heritage and that recognize and understand that their rights don't just come from parchment, right? It's not just the Constitution. It's from God. And it's a shared belief in that creator and those specific rights that are bestowed upon them. And they come with duties, right? Yeah. And I think, you know, for a long time, we've had this post-World War II consensus that like America is an experiment. It's a city on a hill. You had, you know, the George Bush second inaugural address where we're going to take this to the world, right? That's a failure. Yeah. Neoconservatism was one of the most, I think, misguided and destructive ideologies that seeped into the right in just like American political history, and it's done untold damage. You've lost treasure, you've lost lives, and you've lost purpose. And you know, for a long time, people talked about America as a melting pot. Multiculturalism does not produce a melting pot; it produces a pressure cooker, and this is what that creates.
It produces enclaves. It produces enclaves of people that have like-minded, you know, cultures, and they believe that they want to have their society in a larger, broader society.
And this is like this is where the conversation needs to move, because when you're like talking about immigration, why we should restrict immigration, everyone is in agreement, or you know, a lot of people on the right are in agreement that like, okay, so there's some economic impacts, like housing, jobs, et cetera, et cetera. But we also need to like stop shaming people for having like concerns about the culture of their country changing. Like immigration, as a British person, radically alters your culture because the demographic composition of your country is a very valid complaint to have, a very valid concern to have. And so I'm really tired of people that are supposedly on our side, like tone policing everybody over saying like, yeah, you know what? It would be nice if New York City like like Zoran wouldn't be a thing, because Zoran actually is assimilated. He's assimilated to New York City. That is what New York City looks like in 2025. Zoran's actually a great representation of what New York City in 2025 looks like. Go to Queens, it's half foreign born. Same thing with Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is actually a great example of what Minneapolis looks like. It's like a quarter Somali. So it's like, yeah, I think immigration is, or economics aside, we're all in agreement there. The cultural component is a perfectly valid concern to have. You change the people out, the culture is going to change. Like it's not this magical thing that floats around that you absorb like in the air. It's in you.
Another thing that Oren was saying in that podcast, he was saying, you know, just because you have someone that comes to the United States, they shouldn't automatically think that they're going to become a citizen. And he was saying, you know, maybe he's like, just because you get a green card and you're allowed to live here doesn't mean that you'll become a citizen, doesn't mean that you should expect to be able to vote. Maybe your grandkids will, right? Like, but the idea that, you know, you come to the United States and you become a citizen and you automatically get a say, you get enfranchisement and you get a say in how this country is you know, what the government's like and what kind of laws are passed. Like that shouldn't be the way that we run our country.
Yeah, what kind of empire historically would allow a foreigner to come to that country who like bothered to get a citizenship like 5 years ago and then take over the seat of that empire? Like on what planet are we doing that? And that's exactly what's happening right now with Zoran.
We used to be a much more brutal people.
Yeah.
And we look back on these things often with derision and regret. And I think there are many circumstances in which we should. But I also think there's many circumstances in which we should not. And that is this idea I'll put what I mean to say is this. If you were at a bar or restaurant, and let's just go back, I don't know, maybe the 60s, 70s. You're with your wife, and a guy walked up and said something untoward to your wife. The guy would punch him in the face, no cops would be called, and everyone would be like, don't talk about a man's wife like that. Today, it's just like pure litigious. Yeah. Everyone puts their hands up and like, what do we do? The criminal runs, someone will steal money from the register and everyone's like, better not do anything about it. You've got this story where a guy tried shoplifting from a Spirit Halloween, and when the security guard stopped him, fight breaks out, and when the criminal is on top of him punching him, the security guard shoots the guy and gets charged. Yeah. So a criminal tried robbing a place, and the security guard doing his job to stop him is getting beaten by the guy, shoots him in self-defense, and they charge the security guard. That's what I mean by we are not a brutal people in the right way anymore. We've gone too far in the other direction, and now we're basically like, no, don't. Like the criminals, it's not their fault. Have we stopped to ask what socioeconomic factors made the guy try to steal from the store?
Yeah. Well, the brutality is permitted for like the lowest common denominator. Like there is a proportion of the country, like the homeless, people that are just in general just delinquents, like they're permitted to just impose brutality on the rest of the country, and we're just like supposed to take it.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.